Welcome to the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast, where two guys drink coffee and talk about stuff. And now your hosts, Phil and Jimmy Nick.
Hey everyone, Phil here with the Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast, and next to me is
Jimmy Nick.
And we are in our new studio, aka the extra room in my house.
All right.
And we moved out of the youth house, the Thrive house, and moved this way, and just a little bit easier to keep things set up and not having to do all that.
I'll kick back here, sitting around in a nice comfortable spot. Man, I almost get lazy. Just laying here, with a cup of coffee. So welcome, people. Come on in, listen. We might have something to say today, a thing or two.
Maybe, we'll see.
Maybe not. I don't know.
We'll find out. But yes, we are comfortable. We're sitting at our couch, got some coffee rolling.
Right.
Today's coffee is a medium roast of Dunkin' Donuts. Just let you know, they are not paid advertisers. They're not paying us to say anything about their coffee, but this is what we're drinking because it is some of the cheaper good coffee.
Did you like it?
Yes.
Yeah, Misty, she gave me a cup of this butterscotch tasting coffee the other day when I was over to her house.
Yeah?
It's all right. I said, what's that flavor? And she goes, oh, it's butterscotch. Oh, yeah, it is.
Was it like a real strong...
Yeah. He was once told me, I said, yeah, that is butterscotch, Isn't bad, but,
Yeah. Not something you want probably every day.
Nah.
It's normal coffee.
That's something every once in a while kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's not something you drink all the time. You still go to that place over there in Yukon, that Red Bird, Red Chicken, or Red Duck, or whatever thing's called over there?
Yeah, Red Bird. I haven't been there in a while, but I do like going to that place.
Is it good?
It's wonderful coffee. Quick story behind that. So the owner, Rachel, she had this kind of truck. It was a food truck. It was a coffee and waffle truck.
Oh, yeah. I like waffles.
Yeah, it was good. No, it was good. They're really good. And so she did that, but she also worked at my kids' after school, summer after school thing.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got to know her. And she's a great. She's very personal. She's a Christian. It's just. She's an amazing person. Right. Every time we see her, it's funny too because the first time that I actually met her, we were at this Christmas thing down in Yukon, down the main street and stuff, and she had her coffee and waffle bar truck out there, and we went to go up there, and Amy was like, "Hey, that's Rachel's business," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and we went up there and. Immediately she saw my girls and she's like, "Oh, Nora, Lucy, how are you doing?" And very remembered things, and it was amazing. So anyways, she ended up buying this little place off of Maine in Yukon and totally revamping it, remodeling it, and turning it into a coffee house. Yeah. And it's amazing coffee, great service. Definitely recommend Red Bird.
You getting a kickback on coffee over there?
I wish.
Free cup when you go in?
That would be awesome.
Right.
That would be awesome. But no.
Nothing, huh?
No, just promoting a great business.
No, I never cared for waffles.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a pancake type of guy. No waffles. But who in their right mind would say, you know what goes good with waffles? Chicken. Who'd come?
Oh no! Chicken and waffles is amazing.
Yeah,
it is.
Sure, it is. I mean.
It is.
But I look at waffles like Travis looks at meatloaf.
It makes you want to vomit.
I used to go to the Waffle House with people and never order one.
So what's your distaste of waffles?
I don't know. They just taste kind of, I don't know. They ain't got no flavor to them for me. They ain't got the right flavor. You go up there and give me some French brulee pancakes. Those are delicious if you can get those. IHOP had them for a while, but they discontinued them. And I guess there's a French place down there in Oklahoma City that sells them. You should get there early enough in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Have you
probably
done
cost
that
you an
yet?
arm. I haven't made it over yet. It's over on, I think off May Avenue over somewhere. So
Oh, okay.
Way up north.
A lot of those cool places like that are off North Main.
Yeah.
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 Kind of hipster places.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Man. Well,
But anyway,
we
my
got some good-
anti-waffle campaign.
anti-waffle. I can't believe you don't like waffles.
Who does? I mean, those little whole specks in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of waffles have you had though? I mean, like
I don't know. Well, apparently none that were any good.
you got to have the right waffle.
And who's the waffle man?
Yeah. I don't know.
Who makes the best waffle?
Well, I would say top 3 that I've ever had.
Yeah.
The Redbird, because they have the Belgian waffles. They're
Okay.
thick.
Okay.
I wouldn't put Waffle House in that category, although I do eat waffles at Waffle House, but they're not the best. I would say the hotels in Texas that have the Texas-sized, or the Texas,
Texas side waffle.
Texas
Is
the
it
shape of Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what probably number 2. And
Texas shaped waffles.
Waffle Champion in the city. They were pretty good.
Waffle champion.
They do all kinds of different types of waffles.
Yeah.
And then they take waffles and they put stuff in it and they wrap it up like a taco.
Yeah.
You're a simple guy, Jimmy.
I just like pancakes.
You're
you know.
Okay, who has the best pancakes?
Oh, I don't know. I do. I like IHOP. I like going to IHOP.
Okay.
Get pancakes. And then for good breakfast, I may go to Jimmy's Egg. Or even IHOP's got some stuff.
Jimmy's
on
Egg's
there,
got
too.
some good.
Waffle House, they make a good breakfast, but they bring everything out on a different plate.
But Waffle House is historically known to taste the best when you're drunk.
Well, I guess that's about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, when you're coming back from the bar,
Okay.
going home, you stop and get you some
Yeah, that
breakfast.
I don't know. Probably up chuck it 10.
Yeah, probably so.
Probably so. So
You get a good whiff because most of the Waffle Houses now, I guess they've always have, but they smell like the bathroom. When you walk in.
I don't want to go there then. Rough.
I know the one in Yukon does. So.
Bad plumbing, that's all.
Yeah, I guess. Anywho, well, we need to give a shout out for chilloutandserve.com. Make sure you
It's another good one this
sign
week.
in. Yes, title was Conflict,
Oh, yeah.
and good challenging spiritually. And so check that out, chilloutandserve.com. Don't forget to sign up with your email so you can get all the new content. And speaking of content, want to make sure that you check us out. If this is your first time listening, or maybe this is your second or third time, and you go, I'm not sure about these guys, or, maybe you need to go back to the beginning and listen to all those. Whatever it is, you can check us out where you ever get your podcasts, and also on our YouTube channel. We also tried the video thing, and it really didn't work out
Yeah,
for us.
that wasn't this, yeah.
Yeah. We're not ready for video.
We're not ready for video. Not ready for prime time like the
No.
old deal.
No. So you can still find us on our YouTube channel. It's just be audio, it won't be
Right.
video. And of course all the update stuff. Start posting more. We're on Facebook and Instagram, so search us up at Coffee with Phil and Jim podcast.
Speaking of upchucking, I got a Rodney joke,
Okay.
Rodney said he went to his doctor and told him, says, every morning when I get up and I look in the mirror, he says, I want to throw up. And the doctor says, I don't know what's wrong with you, but nothing wrong with your eyesight.
That's great. That guy, Rodney Dangerfield,
It was funny.
he didn't get the credit he probably deserved. He's a funny guy, very quick-witted. Because
Yeah,
he
very.
started, like Rodney Dangerfield wasn't his real name, right?
Cohen. Last name was Cohen. In fact, he grew up in show business. His dad was in vaudeville back
Okay.
in the day, so he was more or less show business all his life.
Nice.
But he tried out on his own and failed at it, actually. Wasn't until I think he changed the name 2 or 3 times. But when the Dangerfield stuck, and then, of course, the way no respect deal
Yeah.
took off. So it's an amazing story, But yeah, funny guy. All them old ones were funny anyway. Most of them.
Yeah. Well, you think about some of those older comics, especially like the roasts.
Right.
They used to do.
Dean Martin Ross.
Yeah. You probably couldn't get away with some of that
No,
stuff.
no,
now.
you couldn't say none of that stuff no more, We all gone woke.
Yes.
Speaking of woke, you want to talk about that school down there in Florida?
Yeah, you sent me let me pull it up here. You sent me an article this week. This was foxnews.com, and it said Christian school refuses to change long-held policy excluding sexual behavior despite alleged death threats. And so it's a private Christian school in Florida is not backing down from a long-held policy that students not partake in sexual behavior outside of marriage despite alleged death threats against school leaders and accusation that the school is targeting gay and transgender students. And here's what the administrator, Barry McKean, told Fox News. It says, "If I back down from something like this, I'm abandoning what God has said is the truth." He says, "I kind of rack my brain to how is this hard for people to understand? This is what God said, and this is one of the many reasons we have a Christian school, and we're not going to abandon this policy." He says, "God has spoken on these issues." And that was the Grace Christian School Minister, Barry McKean. He told an
All right,
interview.
Barry. All right.
So
hold your ground, Barry.
What got me was a couple things that got me on this when I read this. One was the death threats, and one was targeting gay and transgender students.
It's never mentioned in there. It was all about sex.
Yes.
That's their whole policy, was sex outside of marriage.
Right.
But of course, they're going to bring the other stuff into it.
Yeah, you got to use whatever the platform, whatever you can use to get that in. And so this is really cool that this Christian school is really sticking to some biblical conviction. You don't see that a whole lot anymore. There are people that do that. There are organizations, but they didn't bow down to the death threats. Now, who's to say that they will later on? I don't know.
I don't know. But right now, they're holding the ground.
Yeah, and that's really cool.
Oh, there's a college out there in Washington State that's being sued by the state attorney general out there because of their lack of letting homosexuals and everybody into their Christian school.
Yeah.
And everything. And the students even the students there at the college protested because they weren't allowing these things into the school. And just like the administrator said, he says, "You can go to a secular school. You don't have to come here, but we're a Christian school." Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's...
you can go to another school. You don't have to come here. Mm-hmm. This is what we believe and this is what we stand by,
Yeah.
And we're going to tell them the truth on it. And so, but yeah, that's the same attorney general that sued the guy over that wouldn't make the cake for the gay couple getting married, Mm-hmm. Well, he lost that one. They're going to lose this one too.
Yeah.
Because, it is a private Christian school, college, so.
And when it's private like that, you can set your policies and rules and such in that to where, if something like this happens. But that's the deal, though, that, you have, like for instance, this Christian school here is standing on a biblical conviction, all that stuff. And so they're getting attacked, they're getting death threats. They're getting this, and that speaks volumes.
Right.
But media and these people aren't going to let off. They're going to keep pressing.
No, they're coming after us. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, the Bible speaks of this, what's going to happen, and it's just like we were discussing the American gospel deal, what's going on in the churches in the United States as a whole anyway. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous how Satan has worked his way into these churches, and people have brought, the world into it, and say, well, that's the way it is. Well, who was it? I believe it was Olstein. Somebody's talking about, shouldn't the church have to come up to the 21st standard and do away with them old ways of doing things? God never changes. This isn't us and our ideas. This is God speaking. And yet these people out there, it's happening. The United States is going down the tubes anyway. You
Yeah.
can pretty well figure that. You can look around, and it's happening pretty fast. It's going to get there quicker than what some people may even imagine, because look how quick the Soviet Union dissolved in a matter of, just a few years. And boom, it was gone.
Yeah.
And you thought, wow, how could that happen so fast? Well, the same thing's happening in America.
Yeah.
One of these days we're going to be standing on a corner selling pencils trying to get a $20 loaf of bread,
Yeah, that's a good point, because everything that's happening, inflation, all this stuff that's happening, like I went to Casey's the other day, and they didn't have sacks. Half their candy stuff wasn't stocked. They didn't have anything in the candy. They had a bunch of chips gone, a bunch of drinks. When I went to go pull up, pay for my snack, I was like, yo, what's going on? Y'all got a lot of stuff missing, and y'all just didn't get a truck in? And he was like, we can't get stuff.
Right.
He said, we got one coming in Wednesday, but we don't know what's going to
be on it.
What's going to be on it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Walmart anymore. You go to Walmart, you go in there looking for something, wow, and the whole shelf gone and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And it's the way it's headed. We're going to have to get used to it. That you might not store up fuel, dry beans, and rice and stuff, and have around, and
Yeah.
might need it for too long.
Right.
Like, and unlike those name it and claim it's, when it does rain here, it's going to rain on all of us.
Yeah.
But the Lord, I believe, will provide for us in some way.
And with that, the somewhat of a eternal perspective is, like Paul says, being content with what he has, that type of stuff. As believers, that's what kind of attitude we should have, kind of life we should have. Be content with what we have,
right?
And not.
If we got plenty, or if we have practically nothing.
Yeah.
Paul was content in that.
Yep.
The man was sitting in a dungeon,
Right.
Come on, and he knew he was going to end up dying before this thing was over with. So, and it didn't matter whether he was a shipwreck, stoned, beaten, chased out of town, bitten by snakes, whatever. He just kept on pursuing and doing what the Lord led him to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of our deal here. America hasn't. What would you say? We're not really a Christian nation. Never were. I don't really think. I think Christian ideas were probably at the forefront, and a lot of people were afraid to challenge them. Now they've come against us, and they come against us in force. It just didn't happen overnight either. I can go back in my lifetime, and I can look at, I'd say in the 1960s, they had what they called the sexual revolution started.
Yeah.
And that progressed, and that's where people began, it started to become acceptable. People could live together instead of being married. And so that came about. And then the early 70s, your abortion issue came up, and so they legalized abortion through Roe Wade. And then that deal that happened, I think it was in either New York or it might have been in New Jersey, where those homosexuals revolted up there, and they had that riot deal up there, and that was the start of the homosexual change in America. And as you look down to this, all this stuff just slowly, it started coming about in the last 60 years, and it just keeps building on itself.
Yeah.
And now, and you look at generation after generation, they took prayer out of school. They took the Bible out of school. And so it's just been progressively getting worse. You brought up probably 2 generations here that really don't believe there is a God. Or the ones that do have a bad idea of who he is, They follow a false Christ and actually a false God too. But you can see it. It's built up to this, and now we're at this point to where, like Pastor I said, it's exponentially going up now. It's going fast, and it's happening day by day, and it's really accelerating. And but you can see how it's built on itself since the 1960s on up to now. Coming out of the 50s, I'd say the late 50s, and everything was when birth control actually came into the pill.
Right.
And then you went into the sexual revolution, followed by that, people living together, and then it goes into the the abortions, the homosexuality started in there, and it's just built on one thing after another. And here we are. and you got 2 generations at least of kids that have come up through this that have no foundation to live on, or to believe on. In fact, if you give me just a second here.
Yeah, that's something that we see, and then you have the things like media, and so information is getting out so quickly. You can share it so quickly. Like you sent that, you texted me that article this week, and it's like, it gets out there a lot quicker, and so.
Well, they said this is from researchers at Boston University found that over 60% of the students attending college have the criteria to fit at least one mental illness. So additionally, depression and anxiety are up 135% and 110% respectively. I said we've got mental issues going on in the college ranks at an overwhelming deal. People, it's because they don't have anything to believe in, It's really a crazy thing. That's a young generation has been more or less, what they need is Christ.
Right.
And, and the one thing that Satan has managed to do is get him out of our society almost completely.
I think that's why it's up to us as believers, and specifically disciples, to obey that command of being a minister of reconciliation and, reaching the world for Christ. All those things that we already know to do, that we like to justify so many moments of the day.
Yeah. Well, one of the problems you have with that when you do talk to somebody, that it's because of this, I don't know, this idea that America, being born here makes you a Christian or something,
Oh, yeah.
Or that you went to church a few times, that somehow, everything's cool. And so when you start talking to somebody, I really don't need to do that. I'm nice to people. I'm good to people,
Sure.
I live decent. And you never can get beyond that point with them,
Yeah.
It's because they somehow think that, well, I'm an American, and of course that makes me a Christian.
Well, I find the opposite really when I talk to people, that they don't really know. Now, they may have some kind of connection to a church. Maybe they went to a church when they were a kid, or maybe they had a great uncle that was a pastor. There's some kind of mix in that.
Yeah.
But as for them personally, like I was talking to this lady the other day, and she was talking about how hard her life is and things happening, and some similarities of my life growing up. So I was talking to her, and and basically just told her, hey, look, what changed my life was Jesus, and
Right.
Was able to give the gospel and stuff. But she told me, here's what she told me. She said, well, I'm not really into religion.
Right.
And I was like, well, me neither. And she kind of looked at me funny, like, what? But didn't you just say? I'm like, yeah. I said, but it's about a relationship.
Right.
It's not about religion.
Right.
And so, told her a little bit, just some differences of the two, and she was like, oh, well, that's what I need, and it's like, and from the outside, she looked sincere. I don't know. I do believe it to be God opportunity, but there's a lot of people out there that are literally dying and going to hell, and we don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
We just proclaim it. We tell others
Right.
about Jesus, and
Yeah, you do that, but I say, there's that
but
there's
there
that
is
wall
that.
there. There's that kind of a false belief that somehow because I'm in this environment that somehow.
Yeah.
And I do go to church from time to time.
Well, you think about
anything like
our
that.
city, right? It's
Right.
not a very large city. It's we're pushing like 20,000, I think, right now. And how many churches are in this area?
One on every corner.
Right, and so you do go talk to somebody, and they're like, oh yeah, well I go to this church. Oh, well, when's the last time you've been there? Oh, well, see, I've got this and that, so it's it's been a while, and come to find out, it's been 20 years before they even set foot in that. So yeah, I mean, I do believe that there is a lot of that, especially in our community. But with that though, people just don't know what they believe.
Right.
And they don't know why they believe it. And I think that really kind of sets us apart as a church, is, we want you to know But we want you to know why and how.
Well, yeah, I think it was some people because I need to go to church, and I think that just going to church saves you.
Yeah.
You know, that somehow, because if I go to church every once in a while, I'm good with God, you know.
Right.
And that's a problem in this country, and they don't understand. You know, like you said, it's a relationship, but it's a surrendered relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you totally surrender to Him, but they don't seem to get beyond that. I mean, well, you know, like they'll come up, they've asked us, a lady that asked us about coming to our church, you know, could you come to church with us?
Mm-hmm.
And then she started making excuses as she's asking, you know. Well, she still hadn't come forward yet.
Yeah.
Since then, you know, it's like, you know, the invitation's still out there, you know, but,
Yeah.
you know, but somehow they just think that going to church is all they need to do, period.
Sure.
You know, that's a start.
Right.
You know, you can come and start in here, but you want to grow in it once you get in here.
Right.
And not just be a Sunday thing you do on Sunday to please God, I guess.
Sure.
What do you think you are?
Well, and that's something that we teach around here is, you know, you can go to a church, you can get baptized, you can give, you can worship, you can do all those things, but that is not what saves you.
Right.
It's Jesus that does that. And then once you're saved, then all that stuff comes with that. All that stuff is part of the obedience factor of after salvation. And so, you know, you got baptism to coming together with the church, and then you assemble together, not forsaking the assembly of yourselves. I mean, all those.
It's a time to come together to, you know, to worship the Lord as with fellow believers, but it's also where the church should be working together to take the gospel out.
Right.
And to live the Christian life so other people can see it. Just going to church to, you know, you think you're going to please God that way.
Right.
And or it makes you feel better because you start. I got to get back to church. I hear people say that all the time, but it's not about anything.
Me too.
It's not about anything about, you know, coming into a personal loving relationship with them. And I guess to most people in this country, the church is the building down on the corner. It's not the people.
Yeah. To be fair with that, I agree with that. I think most people believe that's the
building.
church.
So I got to go down to the church house, you know.
Yeah.
And for some reason, showing up down there is going to make a difference, and it really doesn't. And
that's such a part of this American Christianity and all
this,
that.
this false gospel stuff going on in this country is ridiculous. So the true gospel's been stepped all over, and I think for some reason back before me and you ever came along, nobody ever said anything about it. I don't know, they thought they'd offend somebody, or they just didn't know that what they were saying wasn't true. You know, because most people don't know their Bible.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't defend it if they wanted to, you know.
That's true, yeah. So and the out that was given long ago of, you know, you don't talk about religion or politics.
Right.
You know, kind of invaded this American mentality.
Because you take like the Pentecostal holiness movement, that was considered a cult, but somehow Oral Roberts got himself on NBC back in 1960, so that type of name it and claim it and prosperity gospel started coming into people's homes. And sure, you go on TV and tell somebody, yeah, you come to Jesus, you're going to be healthy and wealthy. You know, hey, give me some of that, I'll sign up. Where I
That's
go?
right, I'm broke.
Yeah. Write you a check. I don't care. Put it on the credit card. I've heard them say that.
Yeah.
You ain't got the money, put it on the credit card. Got to make it good.
Yeah, have faith and he'll.
Yeah, and then when it doesn't happen, you know, well, you just ain't got enough faith, buddy.
Yeah.
Write another check.
That's right, you didn't give enough.
Yeah, you didn't give enough, or you haven't got, your faith ain't strong enough. It's always back on you, even though what they're telling you is a lie, you know.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. So
yeah, it gets.
And
it
so
gets
that's
out of hand.
worked into it, and like in that movie I saw, you know, that's been exported to other countries. So the garbage we're putting out here is being taken to other countries and given to them people in them other countries.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, but it seems to me if you're going to go out there and you're going to proclaim what they proclaim, that there's going to be a severe punishment. They're going to be a severe punishment for them for what they cause people.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, to falsely believe.
Yeah, facing Jesus face to face with, you know, the judge.
Because you basically lied about him. Plain and simple, you lied about him.
That should scare you.
Right.
That should absolutely terrify you.
You're lying about Jesus. You're lying about God.
But when you get monetary...
It's all about the money.
Yeah.
And power that comes with it.
Yeah.
It said on the deal, they said, old Copeland was worth about $700 million. I think now they think he may actually hit $1 billion. I mean, it's ridiculous that this. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with people having money, but the way you get it sometimes. You tell people you basically lying about Jesus Christ and God. We're not little gods.
Right.
This word of faith movement is a lie.
Wasn't there back in the 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, I guess it was, didn't Steve Martin do a movie about something like that?
Yeah, what was the name of that thing? Yeah, he was in a movie.
Yeah, and it was all a scam.
Yeah.
And they showed how they would scam people and and all that stuff. And man, what was that? I remember seeing it as a kid. I don't remember the name of it, but that movie itself. Where do you think they got them ideas? Because they.
Well, yeah. Where do you think this came from? They didn't make it up.
That's crazy.
That's like I can't think of that movie that Burt Lancaster made. I think it came out in '59 or '60 about that very same thing. But that gal was that faith healer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's people recognize it. It just. But they still will give in to it. I guess if you play on what people, I guess what people want and desire, because like I said, what did it say in that deal about God to give you the desires of your heart? So if you still got the same desires you had before conversion, then, that's what they're talking about,
Right.
So. And
it justifies what they're doing, and it's crazy. Yeah, that American Gospel deal, that first one, it was really eye-opening. You kind of know things here, and you've looked into that. That because you've been looking at that for years.
Yeah.
And
Leap of Faith.
Leap of Faith,
That's
yes.
the name of it.
Leap of Faith, that's right.
If I remember correctly, right at the end, there's something that they prayed about that actually happened, and he was kind of had that look at it. There was actual miracle did take place or something.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, wow. Because it's been so phony up to then.
Yeah.
And it's true, it's phony. I mean, they'll, of course, deny it all the way to the bank, but it's basically true, and why people buy into it, I guess it's greed on, it's who we are. Who doesn't want health and wealth, I guess. But this life is temporary, and it's not going to last. And
that's the thing, yeah.
Like Solomon said, it's all meaningless anyway. You can't take it with you.
You can't take it with you, and you spend your time and money and attention on stuff. There is an eternity.
The one important thing, and it's God.
Yeah.
That's what we choose. So it's a
Absolutely.
crazy world we live in. So.
Absolutely, and there's so much to look at. I want to bring up something here. Let me pull this up. Cool thing about podcasting is you can look stuff up while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Bad part about me doing it is I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Where's it at here? Okay, so we're talking about society. We're talking about all this stuff. Somebody sent this to me. This article, FoxNews.com, and said, Twitter disgusted by New York Times piece suggesting there's a time and place for cannibalism.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. I remember that.
That is something, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place for cannibalism,
So
I didn't realize there was a lot of Jeffrey Dahmers running around out there, but apparently there is.
So here's what it says. Is the New York Times published the outlandish piece titled A Taste for Cannibalism in its style section on Saturday, written by Alex Beggs. The article provided insight into cannibalism's growing relevance in pop culture, especially in a spate of recent stomach-churning books entitled One Another's Assertion and Cannibalism's Time Is Now. Now check this out. It says, Beggs began her piece with a reference to novelist Chelsea G. Summers' a story idea of a character eating her deceased boyfriend's liver, quote, liver served Tuscan style on toast, end quote. She then observed, quote, "Turns out cannibalism has a time and a place. In the pages of some recent stomach-churning books and on television and film screens, Mrs. Summers and others suggest that that time is now," end quote. So this is the kind of stuff.
It's where the society's
Yeah.
We're headed in. Like I said, it's all.
When it used to be like a sci-fi movie,
Yeah.
and people would just, it was kind of entertainment. Now it's merging into.
It's merging into our society. I mean, that's going to make you wonder. Hey, Bob, why don't you come over for supper?
That's right. you take good care of your liver. Sort of Tuscan style.
That arm looks pretty meaty there.
How about invite Phil over? No, he's too fat.
Too much gristle.
That's right.
It's crazy stuff
like the
out
cheap
there.
bologna.
Yeah. You got some of that bar stuff. Oh, did I mention the name?
Isn't that Oklahoma brand right there? Bar ass?
Yeah, they make it out there in Elk City or someplace out there.
Oh, goodness. Well, our society is really going downhill. And really, God tells us that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's happening. We know it won't be long, I think, before Christ returns.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be like old boy out of San Antonio and go out 3 or 4 dates. It never happened, you know.
Right.
Or the guy that wrote the last great planet Earth, I believe it was. I think he's out of Tulsa. You know, I think that's supposed to end it. We're supposed to end it by the end of the 1970s in his book. So everybody's always predicting when Christ is going to return, and you know he'll show up when the Father tells him it's time. So.
Yeah, and so we're on Earth. We need to tell as many people and give the gospel.
You know.
And I came across something earlier today. It said, I forget what website it was. It was a stats website or something, and they said approximately 60 million people die per year. I'm like, wow. I mean, after there's almost a little over 7 billion people in the world, and about 60 million people die every year. And I thought, how many of those are going to heaven?
Right.
You know, and it shows a uncertainty of our life. You know, the Bible says it's appointed in Hebrews 9:27. It's appointed man wants to die, and then the judgment. There are two things that are very real that's going to happen, and we're gonna die. We don't know that particular ending, but we do know that after that there will be a judgment, and we will face Jesus. And
I know that you know, you got all these researchers and scientists that are running out there and they're trying to find cures for all these diseases, which I guess is a good thing in some respect.
Sure.
But all you're doing is if you did find a cure for one disease, you're going to die from something else.
yeah,
I mean, you're not doing away with death.
exactly.
You know,
yeah.
it's coming. It comes to everybody that's alive today. Within probably the next 100 years will be dead. You know.
Yeah.
It's something. It's inevitable. You can't stop it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you can't.
You may prolong somebody's life for a short period of time, or however it is, but you know but then that comes down to what kind of quality of life you had. Didn't Hezekiah get some more years and things kind of messed up in them latter years in his reign there?
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
and
be careful what you ask for on that. You know?
That's right, because the motive behind that, you know,
Right.
Are you wanting more years to do
what?
God, or you want more years to do you? And
Right.
and that's
So, you know, they're trying to find cures, like somehow they're going to extend man's life beyond what God allows, you know. It's not. When it's time to go, he says, you're out, and you go.
Yep.
He's the one that decides that. We don't, you know.
That's right.
So, but people, you know, I guess they still have that hope that somehow man can solve all of his problems, that man's basically good down deep inside. And
Yeah.
that's like garbage we were spread to us in the 60s and 70s about, you know, we just got to get rid of them few rascallions and rest of us, all of us good people, are going to make a planet worth living on, that utopia.
Right.
And that's, communism is based upon that. Marxism is based upon a utopian type situation.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know how communism goes. The ones at the top, they're going to take over and they're going to have complete and absolute control over everything.
That's right.
And everybody else, you might have to share a refrigerator or something, about 20 people, but
Yeah.
on the block and it's all that same toilet. But,
Someone steal your
but
snack.
you're all going to be the same.
Yeah.
So it's this idea that somehow man can solve his own problems. We are our own problems. We created all this. God didn't create this. We did. We gave in and we believe Satan all the time. We live in an environment that is totally evil. Mm-hmm. We live in an evil environment. And so when you look at people trying to get their best life now, you're living in a dying world of an evil environment. And the only way to get through this and out of this is through Jesus Christ.
That's right. He is the answer for sure.
Christ is the only answer, and I don't care what what's the name out of Houston says about that all of his good buddies is Hindu people and all that. They all love God, but they don't love the same God.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. It's live in a world that's really it's ungodly. And if you want to say we were ever a Christian nation, we're not that anymore. We've totally gone into it's ridiculous how bad it's gotten. And it's going to get worse. And I don't worry about it because either way, Christ has got it. And those that are saved, we do have a place and a rescue, and we'll be cared for by Christ through this whole thing. So
that's right.
It's nothing to really worry about for us. If they kill us, what are they going to do? Send us home to heaven? I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Yes. I mean, hello. That's okay.
There's a win-win situation here, I guess. Actually, staying here may be a loss. Even Paul. I think Paul even debated that issue. It's better for him to stay to help them, or to go on home.
Right.
So that's the deal there. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think time is short, and we need to get in gear and tell others, and till God takes us home. And there's so many people out there dying, and so I'll tell you what, Jimmy, let's leave it at that. And as you're queuing us up for something, I do want to give a shout out. If you're listening to our podcast and you like to listen to podcasts and you like to talk about Christ and you like to talk about sports even, I want to recommend to you a new podcast, brand new, just came out last weekend. It's called The Church Guys. And it is a pastor, a firefighter, a student, and an IT guy who get together to talk about their love for Christ and sports. Mm-hmm. And this is, they got their intro, Friday they got their intro show out, and they talk about this is where it all began, their origin story. They give a short introduction about all four of those guys, and they tell a little bit about themselves, and have some laughs along the way. And I listened to it, and just to give a shout out to Craig and Quentin Locke. They're two of the hosts on there and some good friends. And so check it out, The Church Guys. I believe you can find them on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And make sure to go to Facebook and search The Church Guys as well and take a look at them. Sign up. Do what you got to do. I think they're going to be a really great podcast, and they're probably going to do semi-weekly, I guess. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but so check it out, The Church Guys, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and check them out on their Facebook page too.
Do we get any bling or anything for them?
I don't know. See, I don't know if they'll do what we do. See, we do the stickers. We've done the notebooks. Yeah. We've done the pillowcases, the coffee mugs, keychains. We've done a bunch of swag, but I'm a swag guy.
Right.
I like the swag, and I try to find the deals because, that stuff comes out of our pockets. So, I don't know what they're going to do. They may get into it and start doing promotional. But hey, if any of those guys are listening to this podcast, hook us up.
Right on.
I'll put a sticker on my car. I don't care.
Well, I don't know. You've been looking for a song there, and you've been talking about telling people about Jesus Christ in this here one. I just happen to have a song about that, actually.
All right.
And you know who the Williams brothers are, don't you?
The guys that live down the street?
No, they're not.
Oh.
They're a black gospel group, so
Okay.
from way back in the day. Been around for a long time. So here we go with one. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I got a malfunction.
Uh-oh. Malfunction.
My mouth just been functioned there.
And know what God can do. And know what he done for you.
Well, it just ain't gonna work on that one. Okay, let's try this one here. Nah.
You know why it's doing that, right?
Why?
Because you have an Android phone, you have a Samsung phone.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Whatever you need, God's got it. Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you need, God's got it. Listen, he'll be a friend when friends are gone. He'll be there for you. He won't leave you alone. Said he'll be peace in the midst of your storm. He'll be there for you with open arms, a helping hand. He's there to lend. Said he'll be with you even until the end. Whatever you need, God's got it. Yes, he does.
Amen.
All right, God's got it. This is Jimmy Nick.
And this is Phil.
Adios.
Until next time.